I'm Councillor Martin Fodor from Bristol. I'm one of the United Kingdom delegation at the Congress of Local and Regional Government at the Council of Europe. Today we had the opportunity in the regional chamber to have a free debate, and it was a really welcome chance to introduce the subject of climate breakdown. And I spoke about how the Chamber of the Regions needs to consider climate breakdown as very relevant and something we can't ignore in terms of our agenda, which is to do with human rights, the rule of law, and democracy. Now, I've worked in the climate change field for over 20 years, and I've seen the warnings and the need for action come steadily higher and higher up the agenda, but it hasn't had enough attention from governments. So the opportunity in this debate was to say why, finally, with the warning of the UN Intergovernment Panel on Climate Change, we must start to take this issue seriously. So why should the Chamber of the Regions accept it's an important issue? I explained that the growing breakdown of climate on our life support systems, our water, our soils, our sort of means of life, mean civil emergencies are going to become ever more common. And when there are civil emergencies, the rule of law starts to break down. When there are food shortages, fuel shortages, drinking water dries up because of drought, floods cause chaos in cities that are flooding at the coast, the rule of law will become a really major issue for governments. They put in place civil contingency plans, but our normal democratic institutions start to fail. Then secondly, when those institutions start to fail, our democracy is then threatened, because on a war footing to tackle climate breakdown with under 12 years to cut emissions, to maintain climate integrity, if we can, democratic institutions are going to become increasingly threatened by the urgency to take massive scale action and bypass all the normal rules of government democracy and how we plan our society. And then finally, I explained how the threat of climate breakdown, of course, introduces the risks of very large-scale migrations, climate refugees from drought, from famine, from flooded cities around the world. The threat that Fortress Europe is going to become even more trying to keep out climate refugees is a serious issue for human rights. And as the former United Nations Human Rights Envoy and climate change representative, Mary Robinson, former President of Ireland, said, climate justice becomes the issue. Refugees will be those who are most threatened from those who have least control over their lives. Human rights will be really under threat. So I'm suggesting that our concern for human rights is equally a reason for the Chamber of the Regions to take this issue seriously. So my message to the Chamber of Regions was, if we accept our core mission is democracy, the rule of law, and human rights, climate breakdown really becomes something we have to address, something I'd like to see on the agenda, and something I'd like to see all the 47 member states take really seriously. So I hope this will be coming back on our agenda soon. And the positive thing is the youth delegates responded really well to what I raised. They thanked me for putting this on the agenda. One of them pointed out the need for education for climate change to become part of normal education, and another plans to speak about the social rights and the connection to human rights from climate change. So I think it's something we won't be able to ignore, and I'm so pleased I was able to put it on the agenda today at Congress. Thank you.